Hey students, welcome to yet another online tutorial on principles of communication system. Now we are into module 4 and like for your information from this module 4 for both A and B section myself Anup will be handling, and the continuation of this, that is module 5, will be handled by Prasad sir for both A and B section. So this module 4 is about, it's actually what first part of this broad topic, sampling and quantization. So in module 4 we'll be studying about the sampling process and some related digital baseband signaling schemes, right? And in module 5 you'll be studying about quantization process, which will be handled by Prasad sir, right? So before that, so far in module 1, 2 and 3 we have been studying about analog communication technique, right? So in module 1 we have studied about different types of AM modulation, right? And in module 2 we have studied about different types of FM modulation schemes, and in module 3 we have evaluated the error performance of both AM and FM, and we even had a comparison, right, of AM and FM scheme. And apart from that we have seen what is FM stereo multiplexing and super heterodyning, all those aspects as well, right? So that's about analog communication. So initially, right, we had only analog communication, but later on, as the right large scale integration technology progressed, right? So now, complete you can see now everything is actually what digitized, right? So even storage is actually what digitized. One of the typical example would be this, right? CD drive. You all maybe now even CD drive we are not using, right? Even now we are using actually what Google Drive or even pen drive, right? So so this CD is actually what a compact disc is a digital storage device where it stores information in digital format, that is as ones and zeros, right? So the CD will store a bit one as a flat, right? So you can see there will be this spirals, right? Starting way from actually what the center and stretching way towards actually what the outs, right? Maybe the edges of the CD disc or compact disc, right? So here one will be what encoded as a flat surface. It's actually what a type of plastic material, right? And a one will be actually what represented as a flat surface, and the zero will be represented as a bumpy surface, right? So that's how digital information is stored in CD disc, right? And while playing back, it typically has actually what a laser source, which will produce a pointed laser array, and there will be a photo detector, right, which can detect the presence or absence of laser, like. So what happens is, if it is a one or if it is a flat surface, the laser which is transmitted by this laser source will be reflected back to the detector. So whenever this detector detects the laser presence of laser, right, it will decode it as actually what one, right? And on the other hand, if it is a zero, zero is represented as a bump, right, in a CD disk, right? So what happens is this bump deviates this light ray away from this detector so that it won't receive anything. So in that case it will be decoding it as a zero, right? So in this particular module we'll be right, discussing how this digitization is happening, how an analog signal, for example in this case a voice signal, right, is converted to a digital bit sequence ones and zeros. So that is the main aspect of this particular module. So for that we have to use an ADC, analog to digital converter, and the first and foremost step in actually what converting an analog signal to digital signal is the sampling process, right? So sampling process, what it does is, right, it right takes it converts a continuous wave or continuous time signal into what a time which is a signal which is defined only during discrete time intervals, right? So that's what is ideally sampling, right? So we'll be seeing what actually is this, right, sampling process, right, sampling theory, and some of the very basic digital baseband modulation techniques we'll see in this particular module, right? So maybe I would conclude about this CD. I told this ones and zeros are represented as flats and bumps, right? So you can see, if you consider CD, it's a basic storage device, right? It has a spiral tracks, right, starting from the center, and it is actually what moving towards actually what the boundaries of this CD, right? And this track will be of a thickness around 0.5 micrometer. Just assume this track thickness is actually what, around 0.5 micrometer. And if you are able to find this total length of this track, it will span somewhere around 5 kilometer, right? It's interesting, right? So what a CD player does is it actually what scans through the track, right? It will detect ones and zeros on this track, right? And accordingly there will be, right? So more details I am not telling now. So that's what a CD player basically does, right? For that, the CD drive will rotate this disc, and there will be a laser and lens assembly that will be gradually moving outwards, right? So it can scan through this spiral. That's how we are able to play back this digitally stored this music or whatever, right? So now yeah, with that note, we'll move on to our subject matter, that is module 4, sampling and quantization, right? The reference text is Communication System by Simon Haykin and Moher, that is 5th edition. And these topics which I'll be discussing will be from topic 7.1 through 7.7 of this particular textbook. So I made this textbook available in Canvas. You can always go through it. So now we'll move on to the important topics of this particular module, topics of module 4. Right. So we'll be starting with introduction. Then we'll see what is the motivation behind, like why should we go for digitization of analog signal, right? So why can't we use analog as such? Why we should go for digitization? That will be the first part, right? Then we'll see the low pass sampling process, right? Then the very basic continuous wave pulse modulation or digital baseband modulation, that is pulse amplitude modulation, we'll see, right? Then this digitizing or this pulse amplitude modulated signal can be actually what multiplexed in a much better way compared to what analog source as such, right? So we'll study about time division multiplexing, right? Then another digital baseband or pulse modulation techniques, that is pulse position modulation, right? And generation and detection. This is what we'll be studying in this particular module, right? So I've just shown here a typical a block diagram or basic elements of a digital communication system. So a digital communication system, right, it will have a source mostly, right? Most of the sources are actually what, analog source, right? And there will be an input transducer and an analog to digital converter. So we have seen in previous slide, right? So we have a mic, that is a transducer, and that transducer converts the physical quantity into what, electrical quantity, right? That is electricity. Then this continuous signal is converted to digital format, and there is a source encoder. The source encoder basically, right, it gives it's about actually what, giving electrical format to ones and zeros, and also actually what it has to do with signal compression and all those aspects. And we have a channel encoder. What it does is, we have bit sequences ones and zeros, right? So if we add controlled redundancy, what we can do is, for this digital transmission, we can bring in the error detection or correction capabilities, right? So that is what, right, this channel encoder basically does, right? So then we have digital modulation, right? Digital modulator. If it is wireless channel, we'll have to go for digital bandpass modulation techniques such as ASK, FSK, PSK. All those aspects you'll be studying in next semester, that is in 6th semester, right? So if it is wired, right, so if you are using twisted pair cables or coaxial cables or such wired transmission, we can directly transmit the pulse trains, right? The analog pulses as such we can transmit. So those are called analog pulse modulations or digital baseband modulation or digital continuous wave, digital pulse modulation or whatever, right? So that's what we'll be studying, some of the basics. So in this particular module and in next module, we'll be studying about some analog baseband modulation techniques, namely PAM, PPM, and of course PWM is there, which is not included in our syllabus, but we'll discuss about that, right? Then we have PCM, right, pulse coded modulation, right? This pulse coded, right? So about these aspects we'll be studying. So this modulator can be any of this. As far as digital baseband transmission is concerned. So when I say digital baseband transmission, there is no high frequency sinusoids or RF carriers involved, right? So these ones and zeros will be represented as electrical pulses, and that pulses as such will be transmitted. That is digital baseband modulation technique. So we'll be transmitting it through a channel, and at the receiver end we'll have a digital demodulation. Right, this channel decoder, it can either actually what detect or correct errors. If error is detected, actually what it can ask for that particular symbol or packet to be resent or whatever, right? And then we have source encoder. The source encoder actually what, if it is compressed, it has to be what, maybe brought back to original form, and then it should, right, the decoder should detect which like it's ones or zeros, and then that is given to an output transducer. In the case of voice, an output transducer can be a speaker, right, which can play back an electrical signal into a pressure waves or voice signal, right? So this is a typical digital communication system, and our discussion, it will be confined to this, right, particular block, that analog to digital converter. So analog to digital conversion itself is actually, it itself has within a different parts or modules. So we'll be confining this particular module to the sampling process, right? So that's what our discussion will be. Right. So now before we move ahead with, right, so digitizing of analog signal, right, we should see what is the motivation, right? Why digitization, right? And right, how this transition happened, right, from analog to digital communication or storage, how this transition happened, right? So that's a question. So the in first, second, and third module, you have studied actually what amplitude and angle modulation, right? Those forms of continuous wave modulation, right, were originally developed in the early, maybe in 1900s, right, with analog sources, usually voice in mind. So what we had to do is we had to transmit voice, typically that is an analog source, right? So to transmit an analog source, our analog message, we need analog mode. That was the right idea. So maybe in early 1900s, right, those analog modulation schemes were defined, right? But later on, like as the understanding of digital transmission improved, right, maybe that is through the period from 1930s to 1960s. So starting from 1900 to 1930s, it was only analog modulation, right? And from 1930s to 1900s, actually what digital transmission, that understanding of digital transmission has improved, and right, digital transmission, and people started identifying digital transmission has many advantages over the transmission of analog signal. So soon we'll see what are the advantages of digital transmission over analog transmission, right? So so during that period, maybe around 1930s to 1960s, actually what does this digital storage and digital transmission gained popularity, right? So, but one more thing I should mention, right? So it like it the basic right, driving force, right, behind switching from analog to digital domain is nothing but what, development in solid state electronics, right, microelectronics and large scale integration, right? So that we should keep, right, we should, that the credit goes to those developments, right, developments in solid state electronics, microelectronics, and large scale integration, right? So that the right capabilities, right, existed to take advantage of digital transmission in an efficient and economic fashion, right? So that is a very important point, right? So now we so that's how transition happened. So this transition, the driving force was, right, the advancement in solid state physics or this fabrication technology or whatever, right? So now we this normally, this used to be a popular question in almost all exams, right? The need for digitization. Why digitize analog sources, right? So we'll see some of the important advantages of digitizing, right? Of course, right, if you are using a digital system, that it's inherently, it is complicated or complex compared to analog system, but that complication or complexity, right, it doesn't matter, right, compared to the advantages, right? So the first and foremost thing is digital systems are less sensitive to noise than analog, right? For long transmission lengths, the signal may be what, regenerated effectively, error free at different points along the path, right? And original signal transmitted over the remains. So what we can do is we can keep repeaters, right? If we are using digital transmission, right, at frequent intervals we can, right, receive the signal, right, demodulate it, reconstruct it again, remodulate and transmit, right? That capability is there. So because of that, right, the noise interference, it's not that, right, it's much less compared to, right, the effect of noise or the problems with noise is much less compared to analog transmission, right? And we can with digital systems, it is easier to integrate different services. For example, actually what video and accompanying soundtrack, it can be what combined into a same transmission scheme. Whereas if it is analog, right, it would not have been uh, easier, right? So you have to keep that in mind. So then the transmission scheme can be relatively independent of the source. Again, the same thing, right? For example, a digital transmission scheme which is transmitting voice at 10 kilobits per second, right? It could also be used to transmit a computer data or a video at 10 kilobits per second. Right, it doesn't see what is the source, right? Maybe the same CD-ROM which you are using to what store music, you can use it to store some other files. You can store your like word files or videos or animations. Anything can be stored in that, right? So that is the beauty of actually what digital storage and digital transmission, right? So the transmission scheme can be, it is independent of the source, right? So that is another beauty, right? Then circuitry for handling digital signals is easier to repeat, and digital circuits are less sensitive to physical effects, right, such as vibration and temperature, right? So we'll see those aspects in detail in later, why it is easier to repeat and why is it less sensitive to physical effects. Later on we'll see those aspects, right? Then another thing is digital signals are simpler to characterize, and typically they do not have the same amplitude range and variability as analog signals. Which if you consider an analog signal, right, if some sensor data, right, say if the voltage swing is between 0 and 5, so that can take any value between 0 and 5, right? It can take any, it's actually what continuous, right? There are infinite number of possibilities, right? Whereas if you see digital signal, right, or a digital a signal which is digitally stored, or a digital signal, it won't take, right, the range of values which it can take is not as variable as that of analog, right? If you are using say for instance a simple case, if you are using a 3-bit analog to digital converter, the different levels of amplitudes which it can take will be actually what, say, um, 8, that's it, right? Whereas if it is analog, it's continuous, it can take any value. So that's right, that's another point, right? Then one more important aspect is actually what digital techniques offer strategies for more efficient use of media, right? So related to that, I have just listed down some, right, points here. So that is various media sharing strategies, right? It is easier if it is actually digital, it is easy for us to implement various media sharing strategies, right? So like multiplexing, right, um, that is more easily implemented with digital transmission strategies, right? If you have to multiplex two analog signals, we have seen actually what quadrature amplitude multiplexing, wherein within a given bandwidth we could have actually what we could transmit two baseband signals, that's it, right? And we have even seen FM stereo multiplexing, right? But if the signal is converted to say digital, right, the multiplexing task becomes easier, right? We can either go for TDM or FDM, whatever, right? So that is very important aspect, right? Then as I told, there are techniques for removing redundancy from digital transmission. For instance, if you are using an 8-bit analog to digital converter, and each sample initially will be represented using 8 bits, right? So if there are 1,000 samples in a second, so there should be actually what, 8 into 1,000 bits in 8,000 bits in a second. But what we can do is we can have effective strategies to what, compress this, right? Maybe we can reduce the redundancy, right? If the signal, right, the amplitude level variation is not that much, maybe what, only the difference we can encode into what, instead of 8-bit we can encode it into 2-bit or 3-bit, and we can transmit that. So there are different strategies, right, to um, remove redundancy and for minimize the amount of information to be transmitted, right? So that comes under actually what the aspect of source coding, right? So we won't be studying anything about source coding here, right? So then we have actually, I told this, if it is digital transmission, it can have error detection or correction capabilities. You, right, in a controlled manner, you introduce actually what redundancy, right, or you add additional bits, right, so that, right, it can be either actually what parity bit or, right, maybe you right. So what we can do is by adding controlled redundancy, we can either bring in error detection or correction capabilities, right, and then one more thing is actually what standardization of actually what techniques, right? So digital techniques make it easier to specify complex standards that may be shared on a worldwide basis. For example, right, the development of communication components with many different features, like cellular handsets, right, and their interaction with different component, right, like base station or tower, right, in produced by different if you see, we have actually what different cell phone manufacturing companies, right, but right, it is compatible with the existing infrastructure which we have, so it is made possible because of this digitization, right? So digital techniques, right, it makes actually what easier. I'm not telling if it was analog it wouldn't have been possible, it was possible, but this digital techniques makes the standardization, right, of complex systems much easier, right? So then one more point is actually what other channel compensation techniques such as equalization, right, especially adaptive versions are easier to implement with digital transmission techniques. So like again about equalization, right, you'll be studying in detail in 6M, but I'll give you a small idea, right, what actually is equalization. Suppose you are transmitting something from one point to another, right, and what may happen is, right, so there will be a direct line of sight path between the transmitter and receiver, but the replicas of signal which is reflected from different, right, places, or reflected or diffracted or whatever scattered signal will be received at the receiver. So what it basically, what it does is, it's actually, if you are transmitting a pulse of uh, duration t seconds, right, by the time it reaches the receiver it broadens, right, it causes a sort of dispersion, right. So it causes actually what, it may result one symbol interfering with the adjacent symbols, right, that's actually called intersymbol interference, right, ISI or intersymbol interference. So to remove this is because of the characteristics of channel, right, this channel, it actually what are is providing this many number of paths, because of that this effect happened. So if you are modeling this channel as an LTI system with impulse response h of t or transfer function h of f, right, so you can have a filter which has the transfer function inverse of this, right, which has an inverse transfer function at the receiver end, so h inverse of f, right, so that what will happen, this channel induced, right, aberrations can be nullified, right. So what happens is the signal is getting multiplied, or the spectrum of the signal is getting multiplied with h of f, is resulting in actually what, ISI, right. But at the receiver end, if you multiply the spectrum of signal multiplied with h of f with h inverse of f, what will happen, the effect of h of f can be nullified. That is actually what equalization. So equalization in detail you will be studying in next semester, right. So if it is digital technique, equalization actually what becomes very much easier compared to analog scheme. Right. So those are some of the advantages. This is actually what I repeatedly ask questions. So if you take any question paper, right, you can see maybe even in your model question paper, one of the questions which they have included is the need for digitization. So these points you can write down. Right. So I've already mentioned the basic elements of digital communication system, and we'll be confining our discussion to this first block, not even entire first block, maybe a part of it, that is the sampling process, right. So in this video we have discussed some of the basics of digitization, and right, why we should go for digitization, right? So next topic which you have to study is sampling, right? What I'll do is I'll just give you an introduction about sampling, and right, so we want to have a detailed analysis, right, of the sampling process in terms of in time and frequency domain, right? For that you should have some prerequisites, right? So in next video what I'll be doing is I'll be giving you the prerequisites, namely you should know how to find the Fourier transform of a periodic signal, right? And you should know what is the duality property of this Fourier transformation. Those aspects will be the next module. So those who are comfortable with, right, those aspects can skip the next video, right? But if you think, right, you need to gain some insights on those aspects, right, you have to compulsorily watch that. Why? Because that idea will help you understand the aspects of the sampling theorem, right, or the time domain and frequency domain representations, and if I say aliasing and all those things, for you to understand better you should have that idea, right? So basically sampling, right, so I've shown here actually what an analog signal, right? I am assuming it's a finite energy signal which is defined for all times, right? Which is defined for all time. So I have shown only a small portion of that signal, right? That analog signal, right, if I have to convert it into digital format, that is ones and zeros, right, digital data, right, I should perform analog to digital conversion, right? And I have shown here it is actually what PCM encoder, right? So this PCM, right, in different contexts, it's at times it is actually what considered as a digital baseband modulation technique, or right, in some contexts it as such is considered as a digitization technique, how to convert a analog signal to digital signal, right? So the first block in that is actually what sampling, right? It should be sampled. So what happens after sampling is it is a continuous time signal, which means for all time instances the amplitude is defined, right? So after sampling, right, it will become a discrete time signal. So you might have studied in signals and system, right, the types of signal, continuous time and discrete time, right? So what happens is this is samples of the signals are taken at a frequent time interval, say every ts seconds, right? And this is our sample. It becomes actually what discrete in time domain. So that is actually what sampling. That is the first step, right? But if you do this, right, it should reliably represent this analog signal, right? So for that we should know what should be the sampling rate, or at what time interval we should take samples, right? If it is too far apart, right, so I'm taking first sample here and I'm taking second sample here, and if I'm reconstructing it using a filter, it will give you something like this. So it's not reliable, right? And but if I'm taking too close, right, that is actually not required, right? Maybe we should find out what should be the ideal sampling rate, right? So that's the first thing which we'll be studying. For that we should represent the sampling process as a mathematical equation. So if you consider this actually what as analog signal g of t, and g delta of t is the sample signal. So in next session, right, we'll represent this g delta of t. I can represent it as actually what a train of impulses, train of weighted impulses, right? Say from n from minus infinity to infinity, right? G of n ts times del of t minus n ts, right? So we can represent it like this, and right. So if you want to make comments on what should be the ideal sampling rate, right? So how can you reliably reconstruct all those aspects? Then we should do a detailed mathematical analysis. For that you should actually what from this time domain you should convert it into actually what frequency domain. Then you have to analyze, right? For that you need some prerequisite. That prerequisite will be discussed in next video, right? So in this video I'm just giving you a basic idea. So this is like the sample signal. You can see impulses weighed with actually what amplitudes of this particular signal at that particular instance, right? That is mathematically what a sampling, right? So after sampling we should actually what quantize. So after sampling it's discrete in time domain, discrete in time axis, but it still continues. It takes actually what continuous value. in amplitude domain. So this what quantization does is actually what it's either rounds off or truncates it into what digital levels, right? So that is actually quantization that will be discussed in next module, right? And after that, encoding, even a little bit of that encoding part as well will be discussed in the next module. So we have to see the sampling process or sampling theorem. So basically sampling is actually what an analog signal is converted into corresponding sequence of samples that are usually spaced uniformly in time. Right. For such a procedure to have practical utility, it is necessary that we choose the sampling rate properly so that the sequence of samples uniquely defines the original analog data. Right. So this is the essence of sampling theory. Even though it looks simple, right, when we have to do detailed mathematical analysis of that, that's what we'll be doing in next video, right? So once again I repeat, if you think you are comfortable with, if you I have written an expression here. If you think you know how to take Fourier transform of this, right, then no need, you can skip that video. Or else if you think you don't know, you must compulsorily watch that video, then only you will be able to appreciate the aspects of sampling theorem, right? So that's it. I'm winding up this video at this particular point, right? Thank you so much.